So this video is trying to help you understand how do you find all the values that you need to find when you're given the cosine equals something or sine equals something or tangent. So when you're solving those trig equations, how do you find everything? How do I know when to add pi or 2 pi? And we're going to see sometimes subtract, but we'll see where we're at. So I want to go through each function. So the first one I have here is to look at the cosine function. All right, so we're basically, in this example, we have the cosine of x equals 0.57. So what are we asking ourselves here? We have a y value, right, of 0.57, and we want to know what is the angle, right? So this is an angle. And that's when we're using the cosine inverses to find the angle. So I want to find the angle where the cosine equals 0.57. And I went ahead and added something that was not on the slide. Here's the graph. So right here is the graph of the cosine, right? This is the graph of the cosine. And then the y value is here, y equals 0.57. All right, and we are asked to find where does that graph touch that. So what is the angle so that the cosine equals 0.57? And we first kind of started looking, if we put the cosine inverse in our calculator, we get 55.25 degrees or 0.96. And we see that I have this set in radians because there's the angle in radians. That's this point right here. If we were looking at this on a unit circle, it would be this point right here, 0.57, right, is the cosine of that point, and this is the sine. All right, so we understand this angle, but what about this one down here? Why is this here? Well, I put the unit circle here because let's just say we're looking at the cosine of a 45-degree angle. We can see that that cosine is repeated down here, right? So that the cosine of an angle, it appears both at 45 degrees this way, and this is negative 45 degrees down this way. So that's what they're doing here. This value here is the 0.96, and this value down here is negative 55. And that's really easy to see because it's 55 degrees up or 55 degrees down. So where do I see that? Well, look, I see that, let me change colors here. I see that right here, right? So the angle is negative and it has the same cosine. So we found this point, and then we saw that, oh, I just have to understand that the cosine is repeated, so I also have this point. Now, what about these other points? There's a point here and a point here, right? Well, what's happening? And here, they're reminding you when you look this, that if I went plus 2 pi from here, I would come all the way around, and that would be plus 2 pi. That highlighter is not really the best choice of color, so let's just stick here. If I went around 2 pi, would be up here. So, and that's what's happening here. If I take this point and I add 2 pi, I'm over here. Or 360 degrees, right? Depending on if you want to think about radians or degrees. So same thing, if I add 2 pi or 360 degrees, it gets here, and so we repeat. So, and this is the same as the period of the cosine function, right? So it's letting you know how to find it. So with the cosine function, right, I'm going to take my root, and I'm going to add plus 2 pi times k, and the k is just showing how many repeats I'm having. This is k equals, I'm adding one set of 2 pi, and if I kept going in this direction, I would add another one. All right, so that works for the cosine. Let's go, there was a more complicated example on the next slide where we're talking about the sine, and I want to I need this to come over here with me. I need the unit circle to come. I don't really want all this other stuff on here. Okay. So now we have a more complicated example, right? In this example, with dealing with a sine, and it's more complicated, but we can simplify it, right? So we have, and I did the graph here, where is the sine equal to 2/3? Right, and again, when we put that in our calculator, we get this first value. We get this first value right here, right? We get that it's 41.8, so it's somewhere around here, right? Is where it is. Now, if if I look down like I did for the cosine, down here, the sine doesn't repeat down here, does it? It's opposite, right? It's positive up here and it's negative down here. So where does the sine repeat? Well, the sine repeats over here in this quadrant, right? These are the repeating values. So here, I need to create an angle, right, that's here to get this point right here. I'm trying to get this other point here, and it's going to be here. So what did they do? Well, they said, here's pi, and then they subtracted how much this angle is here, right? Because whatever this angle is here, it's the same angle over here. So they said, okay, I'm going to do pi minus 0.73, and that's going to tell me what this angle is to here. All right, that's what they're asking, is how much does it go to here? And remembering with our reference angles that this is the same sign as this. So that's why here it's subtracting pi. But if I wanted to find the next cycle around here, right? Let's just delete this. Let's try to see if we can get this out of our way. If I was saying that this is going to go down, this is going to go down again, and I wanted to find this value and this value, well, I'm still going to need to say plus 2 pi k, because it's going to repeat every 2 pi. That's the sign. This question only wanted you to answer in here, so that's why you stopped. But if I needed to, I would still add 2 pi because the period of sine is pi. All right, last one. Let's try to bring this over here. And maybe we can clean it up a little bit. There we go. I gotta lasso that one. We want that out of there. Okay, so now we're talking about the tangent function. And we're saying I graphed here the tangent of x equals y, and I said, okay, well, y equals negative 0.35. All right, so negative 0.35 is going to put it down, negative 0.35. It's going to have, if we look at negative tangents occur here, right? In quadrant 2 and in quadrant 4. So I'm going to have the values, and they're going to repeat, right? Like this value and this value, they're exactly pi away. And I could take this value and add 2 pi and keep finding those values, but it doesn't make any sense in this case because it's repeating, right? Even here you can see it repeating. You can see it repeating every pi. So with the tangent, I'm going to take the value, the angle value, and I'm going to just add pi k because the tangent itself repeats every pi k. All right, so y pi and y 2 pi, well, with the tangent it's pi because that's its period and it's going to repeat. The cosine and sine are 2 pi because that's their period and that's how often they repeat. But you still have to remember with sine and cosine that the calculator is only going to give you one of the values, and you have to find, so the calculator is giving me this one and I have to find this one. With the sine, the same thing. The calculator is giving me, I'll use the unit circle, the calculator is giving me the value in this quadrant, and I need to find the value in this quadrant. To find that angle, I'm going to have to say pi minus whatever angle was over here in quadrant 1. All right, I hope that helps, and if not, send me your follow-up.